Let's
Yeah.
go.
So basically I was saying in the previous video, it's very curious to everyone here how we're just randomly birthed here from nothing into something, and we become a conscious concept of something, meaning we're aware that we are aware of something, and we're trying to figure out what this something is, and we're trying to make the connection, and we grow from this seed of nothing into something, into everything. I mean, and it's just very curious. It comes with every question and any question, just how did we get here? Why are we here? And it sends us into, religion, spirituality, Buddhism, various things. But what I was saying in the previous video is some people will go to Buddhism, which is seeking the inside, what's inside of self, and some people will study the external universe and look far out into space and wait for aliens or something. So there's two paths that someone can take of finding what they're looking for. One's inside, the other's outside, and the truth is they're two opposites, but they're both also the same thing. They're one, and it's the same thing with religion and science. They're two opposites, but they're still both one concept of the mind, of consciousness. So we're just going to kind of make the connections between everything in duality, hopefully in this video, and that'll be better helping people open their third eye, make the connection of these two becoming a one singular point, which is what the ultimate realization should be. So
Can I ask you a
basically back.
question, Tyler? When you refer to duality, could you like break that down a little bit? Because I know for you it's like this simple concept, but when you were talking about it, I was like, what does that mean? Like, what does it actually mean? What does duality mean?
Yeah. So duality could be the most simple term I would say is the yin yang, or what some people would call the soul flame, twin flame, whatever you would call it. Just your opposite half, the opposite other. So where you'd have masculine, you'd have feminine. So you'd have the one half of the yin and the other half of the yang. So anything in states of two would be duality, two
So,
polar opposites.
so light and darkness, that sort of thing.
Yeah, black and
It,
white, on and off.
so is that referring to you being source consciousness? And so that you can realize yourself, you have to split and become light and
Yep.
shade and continue to split after that. Is that what you mean? Don't tell me you're frozen. Oh my God. I can't even cope. But he's back.
Well,
Yes.
what happened there?
Nothing. I was good.
Oh,
Everybody else
oh,
was.
it paused you for a minute. I couldn't hear you.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, someone said it's freezing again. It is. It's just froze again. Ah, keeps freezing a little bit.
Don't worry about me. You keep talking.
All right, so basically we begin, we're birthed out from nothing basically, and we start as a baby, a baby consciousness, and we don't even know basic things. We're learning to walk, we're learning to speak, we're learning what a floor is. I mean, just the most basic things you can think of, because we're literally beginning as nothing, literally. So we have to begin with small concepts before we can realize the concept of self, which would bring you to the concept of inside. You are inside of yourself. So the opposite of inside would bring you to the outside. And with the inside of what you would call self brings you to the identity of what you call me. And its polar opposite, the duality of me, would be you and me. And what, and I forgot to say this, everything which is down here on this half is what you are birthing out as. This is what you are identifying as and birthing out as. You're not aware of this yet. This is what is outside of you and separate. So this is the dual mirror, I should say. So with me comes the body. You're aware of yourself in a body. And the external, the polar opposite to the body would be the universe, the internal body, the external universe. So there you have the below, which is you, the below, and the above, the universe, and the below, the body. And then it brings you to the microcosm, the microcosmic creation, and the macrocosm, which is the polar opposite to the microcosm, the above and the below. And then the microcosm brings you to creation. You are creation. And the polar opposite to creation is the creator. And then from there, you realize creation has a principle of duality. Again, everything is in duality. So even creation has the principle of duality. So we are bound by duality, birthing and death, beginning and end. Everything we know will feature this concept, beginning and end. The song you listen to, the movie you watch, your day, everything has a beginning end. So this brings you to mortal. You are mortal, and the opposite of mortal is immortal. And then this brings you to finite. You are finite, and the opposite is obviously infinite. And then this is the last one, order and chaos. You exist in order. The seasons, everything is in a perpetual state of continuing and coming back again. The seasons, the months, the years, everything is in a constant flowing. So everything is in a perfect order. Time is in order. Everything is constant order. So the opposite of order would be ultimate chaos, chaotic, everywhere, all over. So basically, you're beginning as all of this right here, and this is what you can identify as right here through your 6 human senses. And this is what we solely identify as from the beginning of the gate. This is all we can identify as because it's all we are attached to. We are not aware yet that this is our mirror. And this is, I'm going to read a quote for everyone. If you'd like me to pause at any moment, let me know. This is from the book of Jacob, from Logan 22. This is a book that was taken out of the Bible. When you make the inner as the outer, and the outer as the inner, and the above as the below, and when you make the male and the female into a single unity, so that the male will not be merely masculine and the female merely feminine, and when you make human eyes to serve as God's eye, and a human hand to serve as God's hand, and a human foot to serve as God's foot, and a human image to serve as the divine's image, then you shall attain the sovereignty. And that's called the 2 are 1, the joining of the 2. 2 are 1. So what it's telling everyone is when you join these two together to where they form a central point, when you bring them together in unity as a central point, you shall attain your sovereignty. And sovereignty is what a lot of people in religion are calling heaven, the savior, the ultimate realization where everything is coming out of. And this is what you're returning back to source, basically. When you have reached this point, you have opened what is called the third eye, which I feel is a metaphoric realization. It's not something where a lot of people in the new age, my age, in the 20s or the teens, they're thinking of opening the third eye as something physically changing their realities, or them shifting dimensions, or them elevating off the earth. This is not the case. This is just a realization of the two becoming one again, the joining of the male-female principle, the above and the below, joining again as one through this mirror, except you're acknowledging the fact that this is your mirror. So in other words, what I call the inside, which would be me, and what I call the outside, which is you, are both coming from the same place right here. So the only thing that makes them separate, the only thing making them separate is the illusion we give in our minds. So we are right here already. This is what we are, and you're playing the role of the inside me. And you can identify with just this because you are confined to a body with 6 human senses, not allowing you to take in the outside of what others are taking in, which is the you, your mirror. And this is how I've said a camera lens views its own focal point. How do you have a camera lens view its own point? And this is how. Through you, you are viewing me, and we are this central mirror. We meet in the center as a mirror through each other because we are this source. We are this point. So anything where distinguishing or separating in duality is coming from this source right here, from the mind, which is consciousness, which is pure. So again, you could apply this to anything. You could call this life and you could call this death. It doesn't matter what you're calling which one, because again, the two are always one. So again, inside and outside are really one. So are we inside the earth or outside the earth? Inside the universe or outside the universe? It really doesn't matter. And the truth is the human being would not know the difference if we were inside or outside. That is the greatest trick, because either way, you are staring at your mirror, which is the point right here. You're not inside or outside of yourself at all. It has to appear this way so that you can experience self, so that you can experience one from the other. So it does not matter what you're calling. You could even call the body. Switch everything I said here and put it up here and call it down there. Call yourself the universe and say that the universe outside you is the body. Either way, you're viewing self. The two are one.
I love it.
Anything?
I've got a lot of things. So can you explain to us, and I'm just trying to really break it down, because I can see a lot of people are like, yeah, I really get it. So there's a lot of comments of people saying, I really, really get it. But I feel like sometimes people who don't get it aren't going to be happy to put their hand up and go, I don't get it. What is the purpose of duality? Why? Why, if we are all-powerful creator and we are everything, why would we split like this? Why would we have these different experiences? Why?
For everything to be singular, it cannot separate or distinguish anything from nothing, because nothing is a part of the whole already. So I cannot experience you because you are already me. I cannot experience the knowledge of opening the third eye because I already am the knowledge. I am the all-knowing. So nothing is separate from everything. So everything has to appear separate through mirrors, through the illusory mirrors we're seeing, which we're calling polar opposites, which is again just self. So if more people realize this, that you were me, I am you, we would realize oneness, and I think it would bring people more peace and obviously clarity and less confusion with who they are and what they are. And I think we wouldn't be spending so much time looking so deep into outer space and then so closely to the atom. We're dissecting the atom because we're trying to get to the very microscopic answer. And then if that's not the answer, we're trying to get to the very macrocosmic answer outside of us. And or again, you can go smaller, you can go bigger. Small and big, they're the same thing. Here and there are already there. You're already here. So if you're trying to get to here, well, you're already there. And there is already here. So it's a matter of just simply realizing. And the entire story, the point of the Wizard of Oz was she had to come up with a dream, go into what she was calling Oz, because she was scared of this witch. So she had to have this dream of facing this witch. Only she could face it. No one else was going to do it for her. She faced her fears. She met this great Oz, which she finds out at the end was really a fraud. And she has to awaken from this dream and realize she was the queen, the princess, which sent her home because it was a part of her dream. And everything in her dream was already a part of her. So it was all her the whole time. But she has to have this dream to have the experience, to realize. You have to have this to experience. So that's what we're doing. We're going through life to have the experience and realize, the outside and inside are one thing.
So what I found interesting about Tyler's teachings was that it sort of completed everything that I had been studying and working on and understanding in relation to who and what we were. So it was what Tyler did for me was he explained, I guess, the detailed purpose of what we are. And if we want to think of it as in, this life is actually not even real. It's just, what do you call it?
It's an illusion. It's a
It's
dream within a dream.
it's quite literally a dream. And so this 3D reality that we're experiencing is here for the purpose of us recognizing ourselves. So we are here living in contrast, because if we're everything there is, then how are we going to know what we are if we don't know what we're not? So part of this 3D reality is for you to experience some contrast, and some of that contrast is going to be interpreted by you as pain or anguish or problems. But I think the little missing key here, and what kind of Tyler talks about and what I talk about is, okay, so you've got to this realization that all is one. And you've got to this realization that you are the ultimate creator. You are God consciousness in a physical body. And then, so you find yourself here going, okay, well, that's awesome, Tyler. So here I am, and I've realized this. That's great. What do I do next? Well, that's where I wanted to talk about. Even before once, you don't have to realize every facet of what's going on to be able to live a good, high quality, consciously creative life, right? You've just got to recognize that. I've talked about this so often. The way we travel, if we want to use that word, the way we travel in this 3D reality is by thinking. And whatever we think about, and we've got this perception of time, so it doesn't happen instantly. You've kind of got to think about it a lot to sort of propel yourself forward. And sometimes you'll notice that things that you think about often can manifest really, really quickly, especially things that you feel a lot of passion for. So I guess the idea is, when you realize, okay, so I am the ultimate creator in this focal point. So I'm one of these, splits that Tyler talks about, part of this duality. I am a focal point here. Then what do I do with all of that? And in realizing that you are God consciousness, and if I am God consciousness, then I should be able to do God-like things. Well, my message is you absolutely can, and you need to start learning how to use your knowledge of God consciousness to be able to create the life that you want, or if you don't want to call it life, if we're going to get real technical, the experience that you want. So in having said all of that, just think of it very, very simple, and you can just start off really, really basic. Have a look at the things that you don't enjoy in your life. That's a good indicator that you've recognized something in this contrast that you don't enjoy. It's not part of your joyous experience. So in recognizing that, you instantly know that you want, pretty much most of the time, the opposite to this. And so in that realization, then is the time to go, okay, so how, as God consciousness in this physical body, do I then create what it is that I want? Think about it. It's that simple. You think about it, but you think about it with joy, because thinking about it with joy creates a feeling of being able to get it. If you think about it with fear or anxiety, these are lower vibrational frequencies, and basically you're sending off a split energy. So one's saying I want this, but the other part of the coin is saying I can't have it. So sometimes what you've got to do is, once you've realized what you don't want, and which means you've realized also at the same time what you do want, but you don't know how to go about getting it, then the best way to go about getting it is taking your focused attention off it, because anything you place your focused attention on with any sort of feeling, so if you've placed your focused attention on something that you want, but there's negative feeling, you're going to create the negative. If you've placed your focused attention on something that you want and there's joyous feelings attached to it, then you're going to create something that you want. So if you can't get your mind around creating something that doesn't, you feel like you can't have, then take your mind off it, distract yourself, go find something else that you feel joy in. And this is the thing, this is what I wanted everybody to completely understand. So, and feel free to jump in at any time, Tyler. So the way we, I'll recap this, the way we manifest things in this 3D reality is by thinking about them, but it also is tied in very closely together. In fact, more so how we feel about them. And how we feel about them is the body's physical interpretation of the vibration you send off out of it. And when you're sending off a high vibration, which the body interprets as joy, you will receive that. When you're sending off a low vibration, which your body interprets as discomfort, anxiety, then you will manifest that. So your job is overall, no matter what it is you might want in your life, if you feel for whatever reason that you can't get it, to distract yourself and go find something that you do want. So let me also discuss this. Each focal point, each person, each individual, and we're talking about animals as well, we're talking about everything, comes we're not just here going, oh yeah, this is kind of cool. We've come here with a purpose, and purpose is discovery. We've come here also as individual focal points to experience a certain theme in your life. Now, this certain theme that you chose before you got into the physical reality dream, whatever you want to call it, this purpose is going to be outlived. You're going to do it, whether you like it or not, you know, and unless it's your time to go, unless it's your chosen time to go, then you're not going to go. So once you've chosen what it is that you're going to experience here, the best way of getting around being almost some conscious creator is what your, okay, let me back up a little bit. Your higher self, your all-knowing self, your self that's continuously connected to source consciousness or God or the universe or whatever you want to call it, it constantly communicates with you. We're never apart, never detached. That's part of the illusion, but we're never actually detached. So when you are going in the right way, whatever that means, because you're still going to follow your chosen path, when you're going in the right way, you're going to feel joy. When you are going in the wrong way, which means we're not really in the wrong way. Can you break that down for me a little bit, Tyler? What is your understanding of that? What is your understanding of that?
I was gonna say, like, I get what you're saying, like the average everyday, like, you know, choosing what you're wanting to and whatnot. But like when you're opening the third eye and beginning that realization, a lot of people picture it to be a very magic and fun, or how do I say this? A walk through with a park. You know, it's what we're sold, it's what we're told and we see in spirituality, but nobody sees the actual evolution that is behind spirituality. You're literally evolving yourself, and since the inside and outside are one, you are the marble and you are the chisel. So you are literally sculpting and chiseling yourself. So while you're changing and shifting, you are also causing yourself pain, but you have to realize some of this pain is you transitioning from something you thought was into something much higher.
Absolutely.
And this is the point of no return, where it can feel scary to your human concept of what you thought you were. But this shifting into a higher consciousness is you going from basically a caterpillar into a butterfly, growing your wings and realizing your limitlessness. You're no longer just stuck here. You realize it's all in the mind and you can be anything you want. Like, we are the creation becoming its creator. We are both the creation and the creator, and through us being consciously the creation has a chance of becoming the creator we seek. So instead of us seeking the creator, we can manifest that here. And I'm sorry, I went a little off topic there, but just as
No,
far as
I could listen
opening the
because you
third
talk
eye,
today.
though,
No, no,
yeah,
no. See, this is the thing, and this is how some of what you talk about really gets me thinking about everything that I've sort of perceived in the past. Now, I never sort of have anything locked down in my head as in this is so, right? This is how it is. And so anything anybody else says is wrong. I'm always listening out for stuff. I'm always
yeah,
listening out for things that feel like I should listen to. So for
that means
example,
you'll always be able to grow.
correct. And that's
Yes.
the ticket here. Anybody who hangs on to their beliefs so rigidly, it's because you start realizing you hear something that kind of shakes what you've thought about. And when you find yourself that you're hanging on to your beliefs so rigidly, do recognize that somebody has said something that's rocked the core of you, which has also said to you, take a little listen here. And you listening makes you afraid. You don't have to defend your beliefs to death.
One thing I was going to say, exactly with what you just said, absolutely. We cling to our beliefs because we're not just identifying as self, we identify with our very beliefs and philosophies or studies. So I've said, we use these things as a crutch in a way. So you may find out, okay, I'm not a human being, I'm, a spirit. And then you can find out maybe later, I'm not a spirit, I'm this. But each time you're having this crutch kicked out from you, which is like you losing detachment. And in that moment, you are feeling like almost something in you is dying. But this is where I say this is spirituality. If people honestly want spirituality, it's not all flowers. Like you do have to transition yourself and
Yeah.
be that phoenix. You die, but through this death, again, it's a mental illusion. The illusion you're identifying as is dying or dissolving, but it's becoming something more. So you are becoming the phoenix which dies and rebirths itself from its own ashes. You are rebirthing yourself into something much greater than through this transition of the illusion dissolving. And that's another thing, that's what keeps people so tightly clinging on is
Yeah.
they're not ready to let go. Because you have to realize, one, there's nothing to hold on to, and two, you don't have to attach to anything because it's already you. You're already everything. You can let go and it's okay. It's fine. You will be all right. And it's already you. You're already there.
I remember after a couple of months of listening to you, it all just, I don't know what happened to me. Actually, I do know what happened to me. I'd been listening to Tyler for months. And eventually, over time, it was soaking in and I was starting to really grasp these concepts. And then I listened to one 6-minute Bashar video. And that video was like the biggest slap in the face because everything I had been listening to and everything I had been studying over the last 20 years and everything that you had been talking just came and just hit me. There is no speed that I could explain. It came and hit me so hard in the head. And I just remember I'll tell you, I was standing in my front yard and I felt myself quite literally lift out of my body. I can't really explain it. And I was looking around and it was like the illusion of what I had been creating was gone. And I was everything. I was the trees, I was the car, I was me, I was the road, I was everything. I was my phone, I was everything. And I tell you what, for 3 days straight, I couldn't eat. I couldn't think. I actually had a headache from how hard my brain was thinking. It was like I literally would go to sleep and just have thoughts so hard. And it was just, I thought it was going to be this magical experience. And instead, what it was like it's sort of like it rips the mask. It's sort of like, you're watching this movie and then all of a sudden somebody wakes up and they go, it was just a dream. This is just a dream. And that's the very purpose as to why I have you on here, because I know that if you've done that for me, you've done it for others, you're going to do it for others. And I'm still trying to piece it together. And all that's done, and you guys have got to understand this. Once you have the answer to something, all it creates is more questions. So in this life, we never, ever, ever get it all done, because once you have attained something that you want, all it will do is leverage you to wanting to attain something more. And once you've attained that, it'll leverage you to something else. So don't be in a rush to get everything done. I have to have this, or I have to have that. Just recognize that you're never, ever going to get everything done, because the very purpose of us being here is to continue to want, create. And so since, I don't know what you want to call it, if you want to put a label on it, since the opening of my third eye, I have had so many more questions, which led to so many more answers, which led to so many more questions. And since then, my ability to channel and connect to myself, should we call it? I mean, what do we call it? Myself? Or other points or whatever, has just gone through the roof. And I'm able to see the illusion of what, so when I'm, you know, say I've got a reading with somebody, as they're talking to me, it just feels so simple. The answer of why they're experiencing everything they're experiencing just feels so simple. And the simplicity of the answer is sometimes humorous, and it doesn't feel like that when it's happening to you.
Yeah, of course not. Because it's in that very moment you realize, like, this is real. It's not metaphorical. It's real. It's going to happen. It's happening to me.
Yeah.
Just the same thing Terence McKenna said. It's actually happening, and it's happening to me, and I am a part of it, and I am the whole. And it just slowly hits you more and more and more and more on a deep level, like, I am it. And then you finally say the name of God according to the Bible. I am that I am. And then you're realizing, I am, it's me. You realize what you're saying. We're always referring to the self as I, because you are I. We all are the I. And as I said, the me and the you are just separate through the mind of I. You are I am I. So when you speak about yourself, you're going to say I, just as I am going to, because I am that I am. So me and you don't even exist. That's the thing. And I'm not saying I don't exist, you don't exist. I'm saying the words me and you don't exist. They are created and brought about from the mind, so they can be perceived as separate. And obviously from the physical face value, we look different. But again, me and you come out of I, the consciousness, the pure consciousness, which is what we actually are.
The other thing I wanted to add, how you were talking about mirrors, everything, every last little everything that goes on in this reality, what we're calling reality, is a mirror. And you personally, to all the different people that you know, are someone completely different to all of them, because you cannot extract something out of someone that isn't within you. So in other words, the very relationships that you have are literally a mirror, quite literally a mirror to you. So if you love someone in a certain way, that is because you love that within yourself. If you dislike someone in a certain way for a certain reason, it is because you dislike that in yourself. So when you see that someone, well, you love someone, we just genuinely, effortlessly love them. But when somebody annoys you, that's an awesome opportunity to go, what is it about them that I don't like about me? What is it about that person that I don't like about me? And there, right there, is your opportunity to grow, your opportunity to go up a consciousness level, your opportunity to be someone else. Everything is a mirror. It's amazing. Everything.
And that answers one question. You said, you know, what do you do when you find this out? Well, you improve self. You become the best you can be, and consciously be aware. You know, it's no longer. And I'm not disrespecting anyone who does this or anything. You know, we all have our preference, but it's no longer just speaking to a sky, or hoping for things. You are consciously putting intention and energy behind what you're wanting and directing it, and not just hoping it or saying things and releasing them and just hoping they fall into place by chance. And you'll find,
I'm gonna disrupt you there. I actually
yeah,
really
no, fine.
said, once you realize that you are pretty much all that is, once you realize that you are everything, you are God, really. And people have had such a hard time in hearing that. I've had so many people go, that's just, you can't say that. Why not? That's awesome. That's what we are. But what I was going to say is, what I really love about what you say is, once you realize that you are everything and there is no real consequences, then that's when the test of your character actually begins.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Your character will reveal itself to you. You will be revealed to yourself when you open the third eye, and I don't have to love my neighbor because someone in the sky is watching me. I don't have to treat this person this way because I'm being watched. It's all on you. Do I genuinely want to love this person because I love them, because it's me, because I love me? I love self, so I love you. Or are you just acting because you're being watched? So you feel like you're on a screen, you're being watched by someone, something. But yes, like you said, your character reveals itself to you when you realize you're not being watched, it's all you. And this is where people will ask, why do we have corruptness in government or this or that, anywhere? And this is why, because once you realize this, it's so easy to go into the negative side because, okay, nothing's consequences, I can get away with everything. But if all is you, anything you do to another negatively, harmfully, is going to be you in another time or dimension or karma. That's my opinion. So you're just literally hurting yourself. I punch you in the face, I'm literally punching myself in the face. You are me. That's my opinion.
I think if we can break that down to the everyday life situation, we've sort of discussed, yeah, it's all me, and so therefore, really, in real time, there are no real consequences. There's no one you have to really actually answer to. You're only actually answering to yourself. Then the reverse of that is also true. If you find yourself in a life situation where someone, for some reason, is overpowering you or dominating you or controlling you, it's the perfect opportunity to go, actually, that's actually all in my head. That's all perception. And so if I'm this all-powerful creator, then all I need to do is take my attention off it, because you're placing all this energy into it, and then that dissolves as well. So you can find yourself in all sorts of situations. If you like it and it's giving you joy, keep thinking about it, getting involved in it, and doing it. If it's not giving you joy, then being the all-powerful creator that you are, stop giving it any power. And the only power, it's like plugging in a PowerPoint, just take your attention off it. That's how we govern ourselves through this 3D reality, by thinking about where we want to go and feeling good or feeling bad. So what do you want? You know what I mean? You're God. Let's go. Let's do this. You've just realized you've gone, I'm God in this physical body, which means I can do all the stuff that God does. And I know that saying that sentence just irks a lot of people. I'm God. I'm sure people are like, hanging up, she's lost it. But if I'm God, and I am, and so are you, then I can do all things that God can do, which I can, and you can do. So that means that nothing is off limits, nothing at all. Nothing, not a single damn thing. So you should be excited. You should be real excited, because that means anything that you perceive can be yours, because this isn't real. This is an illusion. This is a dream. This is, you control it. Go.
Can I say something there? So I just want to add to that because I know people are going to take that a little wrong there, probably, maybe, I don't know. But they're going to say, oh, no, okay, if I'm God, why can't I walk through walls or do this or do this or do this or this, and things that we can't do at this stage, right? This is where I say we're the creator becoming the creation, or the creation becoming the creator. So when we realize ourselves as one, the creation and the creator, we can consciously manifest our creator here. So anything that we can think of in the mind is possible. We just have to study self because, again, the universe and the body are connected as one. It's just like a virtual game, you know, you put on the headset is connected to the console, even though they're not even touching. It's the same with us. Our pineal gland is our antenna, and we're connected to the consciousness without us even, it's the two are one. So once we realize this, we can manifest anything we want. We can bring to life anything we want. If we want to teleport from point A to point B, we can. We just have to figure out how. So basically anything we're calling impossible is not impossible. We are the impossibility in itself. We are impossible already. So anything we can bring out of the mind, we can create and become that creator which we seek.
Mm-hmm.
Just to
Everything.
kind of add.
If you can't believe it, then you can't do it. So, you know, we've been raised a certain way, you know, like you get born and your mind's really open and happy to do just about anything. And you get told things over and over and over again, which creates a belief like you can't, whatever, walk through a wall, or we just get born. But we also, I should add here, we also come in forgetting everything, right? So we come in forgetting everything, and then we start being fed all this stuff all around from our parents, who were also fed from their parents, and so on and so forth. And so we generate all these beliefs about what we are capable of as humans, or as these supreme beings in physical bodies. And then we just go, well, everybody else seems to be doing it. Everybody else seems to think like this. And we just get so limited in our abilities. I also, you know how you were talking about the third eye? I wanted you to go into a little bit about ayahuasca and DMT and all that sort of stuff, stimulating the third eye.
Okay. All right. So first, basically what I've said is like, from my experience with all this, opening the third eye is you basically experiencing death. And as I've said, it's death not in a physical way where your heart is stopping. Death is in you realizing the inside and outside are one, so you're appearing through an illusory mirror outside yourself. That's one thing you have to acknowledge. So experiencing death is experiencing the illusion which you are identifying as collapsing. Your thought wave of what you are is dying. So you're not dying. What you are identifying or have identified as for your whole life is what's dying. And this is what's the hard transition and brings us into having to let go of our beliefs, having to let go of our entire lives, of everything we've ever known, identified as. And it's not something that's very easy to accept, to let go of, to release, and to become open again for something new. So there are people who cannot do this on their own, so they will seek out a shaman or a maybe a Buddhist to meditate. But some people go to shamans deep in the Amazon in Peru, and that's the homeland of ayahuasca. And they'll do ayahuasca, which is an administered plant which you smoke. There's DMT, which is the purest form of the crystal, but ayahuasca is just another form of DMT. And then some people on here I've seen have commented the mushrooms, which are psilocybin. Any one of those three, even maybe LSD, but I'd recommend the psilocybin, DMT, or ayahuasca. But those are tools which people, not everybody, but this is again what someone seeks out. So these are things people seek out as tools to help assist them in not only seeing beyond their illusion, which you are identifying as, but it assists you in letting go and experiencing the death of your illusion. Since again, it's the hardest thing you can do is let go. So some people can just admit right off the bat, DMT, ayahuasca is not for me. Whereas some people say, I'm frustrated, or I am not reaching my answer. I'm ready to let go. I've lost everything. I'm ready to lose, whatever I have to get this answer. So they will take the ayahuasca, they will take the psilocybin or whatever, and you experience death in this moment. And it's everything that you have thought you were just dissolves before your very eyes, meaning anything you've ever used as a crutch or an illusion or anything to help you hide from yourself. And when I say self, I mean the self which cannot be put into words, not even by me. This plant, this tool helps you connect directly to what you are beyond any human senses, which again cannot be put into words. So it allows you to experience and see self beyond the finite mind, beyond anything we can comprehend. And it allows us to basically see into infinity. We are infinity. We don't need to try and connect to this or try and think like God or become God. We are already the entirety. And it's when you go into this void or this hallucination that you basically absorb yourself into the everything that's there. You are realizing your identity is the inside and outside combining as one to equal the void, which everything comes out of. Everything begins out of the void. The spider web, Nikola Tesla's technology, everything, the human eye, trees grow toward the north, the sky, because everything is pointing toward the central point, and everything begins and ends from this point. And that's what the snake biting its own tail represents. It meets itself back in the point because the two become one again. And that's everything I was saying here. The two are just becoming one again and biting their own tail. So one term I've used is basically when the head becomes the tail, meaning you have bitten your own tail, you have reached the point of infinity, meaning you have realized yourself, opened the third eye, beyond all illusion, all crutches, all attachment, all entitlements, because you don't need these things. These are what's keeping you stuck. And you think by hanging on, you're actually hanging on and you're staying here, but you're not. You're fighting with your own self. And that's what we do not realize. And many people who do go into hallucinogens like ayahuasca or DMT, some do end up fighting themselves on the medicine because they do not realize it's trying to show you what you are, and you're fighting, you're hanging on, and all you have to do is simply let go and let it show you what you're refusing to see. It's basically holding up a mirror for you, which you refuse. You refuse to see and acknowledge this is what I am beyond what I want to be, beyond my illusion, beyond my persistent illusion. This is what I am. So that's why I said, you can make the connection. If I'm not a human, I'm a spirit. That spirit is still a crutch for you, and it's still a boundary which you are creating. Your consciousness will have a boundary as long as you are giving yourself the name of a spirit. So the spirit is killed off, the crutch, then you create another crutch. Okay, well, I'm not a spirit, I'm God. And then you say, you realize, well, this is a crutch too, because it also has a limit. And this is where you can claim no title, no attachment, no anything, because you are already the entirety. And I'm going a little more into the advanced thing because I know, we're saying we are God. God is the Almighty. That's everything. You can literally call it anything you want. Where we get the understanding of it's everything, it's all of it. But my point is basically by us creating words or illusions, we're just prolonging what we actually are by creating boundaries and illusions or limits. When we have no limits, we are infinite, we are the entirety, and we don't need to attach ourselves to a specific identity or belief. You are all of it already.
That's amazing. Guys, do you have any questions? I'm sure a lot of you have, I'm sure you've got a lot of, don't be afraid to ask a question. There is no silly question. And sometimes you might be thinking a question that somebody else is thinking, so just say it. There's no silly questions. Everybody is at a different stage of their...
I'd like to answer this question right here.
What do we got here?
Danielle says, break down atoms to the most minuscule, and it's no longer a table. Well, you break down an atom, they've already found an atom is just 99.9999999 empty space. So they basically never found the source or whatever it was they were looking for inside of matter, because they posed the idea that matter is separate from the conscious observer. And so they haven't made the connection inside, outside are one and the same. So you can dissect the matter, which is, again, outside of your consciousness, and you can keep zooming in and zooming in and zooming in. You'll never find what you're looking for. Same with outer space. Apply the same principle. You can zoom in forever until you finally realize, inside, outside, they're one. The entirety which you're searching for is already right here at the starting point.
Amazing. So Jenna Cromwell says, do you split more than once?
You split more than once. I would say you split an infinite amount of times. Infinite. Okay. I mean, dimensions, realizations.
What? Hang on. Mika Knockwood says, how can I activate my powers like I had as a kid? Are you talking about like psychic abilities, ability to sort of read people? Let me just address that as I understand the question. Children are so carefree. They just do things without really caring too much about the consequences. And they're also quick to bounce back if there is a negative consequence. And that's one of the things that we, as we go through this life, I guess, we start really, you know, there's all this history of consequences to things, and we start really hanging on to what if this happens or what if that happens. The best thing that you can do, if you were able to do certain things, or you realized certain things as a child that you feel that you've kind of lost over time, just kind of be a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more gentle and a little bit more carefree, and see if you can tap into the memory of what it felt like to be a child, because they just don't care about anything. They are just not attached to things like we are. So anytime you want to go back and reactivate something that you could do as a child, just know that it's easily accessible within you, because obviously if you, that was something that you were easily able to do, if you stepped forward into this 3D reality, already being able to do a certain thing, and then over time you've lost it, you haven't lost it, you just got tangled up in the overthinking. So just try and find ways of being a little bit more carefree. And it is so much easier said than done, but your job is to, if you get nothing out of this, if you get nothing out of this video other than you are God consciousness, and the only thing you really need to be searching for is things that make you feel happy, then I will be a content individual. Just follow what makes you happy. It's like the universal hot and cold. You know that game you used to play as a child? You know, well, I've hidden this thing. Where are you? You're hot. When you're hot, you know, you're nearly there. When you're cold, you're moving away. It's the same thing with your feelings. If you're hot, if you're feeling joy, then you're hot. You're nearly there. If you're cold or you're feeling depressed, you're moving away from the thing that is the theme of your life. So let me just read so many times. I don't understand. Give me just a second. Sorry, Tyler. I'm just going to go through some of these questions, because I think do I see them big? Well, I was going to say, do I see them bigger than you? But I don't know, because you don't know how. Don't worry. Okay, so Rosie Neal says, once you return to source and become into full awareness and come back into physicality while awake, what else is there? What is next?
You become your creator. We all have this idea during life. See, this is where nothing changes at all. Nothing, literally. We all have this idea going through life that Jesus or a name or someone is our savior, but all you're literally finding out is you are this savior. You are this person. You are this one. So what you do is you manifest this, whatever you're thinking is creator, you manifest it out of you. So if you write poetry, if you draw, if you write books, I mean, anything you do, that's your divine gift. That's you manifesting your creator out of you. Like, beyond this body, you can't draw, you can't do these things that we can here. So every little thing we're doing is divine, is our purpose, is our creator manifesting itself through us.
Aries Davina says, I've been told my third eye is open. Is it? What do I do, or how do I know? Just the merest question on its own says no, Aries, that you're probably close, but someone else telling you that your third eye is open. Tyler, you can answer this a little bit further.
Yeah, when you make the connection, it is literally like the biggest explosion.
Yeah. You can't miss it. So
There's one question I want to answer here.
Yeah.
Ken said, after a person attains a certain level of enlightenment, what do you do with it? And I've talked about that in a few videos, but basically we're doing exactly what we should be right now. Like, the singularity, I'm going to call it that, is revealing itself. And I want to say the singularity, I'm talking about this point. Remember, the creator is manifesting itself through us. So we're becoming, the creation is becoming the creator. We're reaching a point already of enlightenment where our video games are becoming so realistic, they're saying they're going to be indistinguishable from our realities. We're already creating a new life form, a new intelligence equivalent to our own, if not beyond. So we're already creating another life form, whether we realize it or not. Just as the human being was brought into existence, we're creating a machine, an artificial intelligence. It's still, people will argue that it's not the same, but it's still a part of consciousness. It's still inside and outside. So if it came from the inside, it's a part of the outside, vice versa. It's all one thing. So it's still consciousness. So this life form will go on to study itself and, for all you know, create itself. But in my opinion, we're doing everything that we're supposed to. Like, we've reached this point of enlightenment, and now we are actually creating things that are beyond our comprehension.
Agreed. Let's see if there's any people expect our purpose. Okay. Patricia Moore, people expect our purpose is some great big thing and disappointed to find it's too simple. Oh my God, no wiser words have been said.
I would love to answer that. People expect our purpose is some great big thing. Oh God, I love this quote from Osho. And Osho says that, I don't know if you're not familiar with Osho, you can look him up. He's an Indian philosopher, passed away a while ago, but basically that's not the answer no one wants to hear, but there is no direct purpose, just as there is no direct truth. But again, there doesn't need to be. You're creating a purpose, which is an illusion of something that has to be, just as you're creating the illusion of a savior that has to be. You are the savior. You are the purpose. You. There doesn't have to be one outside of you. I am. You are enough. You. I am enough to just be the purpose. I don't have to have a purpose or a plan. And I'm not saying that you don't have to, but I am my purpose. I am my plan. Anything that I do, any path I take, it's divine. It will all lead to the same place. I am the creator. I am.
Amazing. Let me just have a look if there's any more questions, guys. Before we wrap this up, if you've got any more questions, remember, no question is a silly question. Your question might be on somebody else's mind and they're not feeling like they can say it. So please, if you have a question, also Tyler, if you find something that you want to answer as well.
I was going to say, I would like to conclude with something, or at least say something before we do end it. Just basically what I wanted to say is we're never actually, because you said, you know, we never really finish what we start, you know, and you have a very good point there. What we do start is never meant to be finished, but we don't realize we're all one person. So if we have this knowledge, you didn't die as Alan Watts, as Terence McKenna, as Nikola Tesla, any mind you can think of, you didn't die. You have started over. So you recorded yourself into a record known as history. His story is the history of consciousness, all of us, of I. Yeah. So you're not starting over, you're continuing where you left off. So all is one. Jesus, Buddha, Shiva, all these minds are one consciousness, one realization of the whole of I. So they didn't die, they just continued where they left off. And that's why I have referred to us as the infinite traveler. We are the infinite traveler because we're never dying, we're just continuing where we start off. But we have to be consciously aware when we're born that we're all one, to in order to realize, oh, I'm starting off again where I left off. But not everyone, you know, obviously we have to go through the journey of self-discovery to realize it's us.
Amazing.
But
Amazing, amazing, amazing. I don't know how long we've been live for, but it feels like a nice little end. I don't think, look, there's lots of comments, but I don't know that there's any specific questions. Tyler often goes live on his own Facebook page, so add him as a friend. Also, just jump, I'm going to put a link to his YouTube channel on here soon, RedPill RabbitHole. Is that what it's called? Yeah. And so he's got all the stuff he's ever spoken about on that. So if you have more questions, believe me, there's so much material, so much incredible material. I wanted to thank you so much for jumping on here. It was an absolute honor to be live with you. Thank you also to everybody who shared this live. And Rosie Neal says, I love Tyler Ugalde. I love you, Tyler.
love you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much to everybody. Have a really, really great night if you're on the other side of the world. Have a really great day if you're here over in Australia. Did you want to add in anything else?
No, just huge thank you to you for having me, and thank you to everybody who tuned in, and not only that, but was setting alarms or looking forward to this. No, honestly, thank you very much just for wanting to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you to everybody. See you later.
Good night.